All right, section 3.3 starts on page 164. And what this is going to be involving is it's going to be involving using a budget. It says once you've completed a budget sheet outlining your past expenditures, you can use it to plan for future spending. You may want to prepare a monthly expense summary. This report compares the amounts that you have spent to the amounts that you have budgeted. When you draft a budget, you should include an emergency fund. And this is set aside, kind of like what I was explaining the other day, where all of a sudden a hot water heater goes out, furnace goes out. So you set aside money just so that you have some extra stuff. They do not give you a formula for this particular sheet, but I'm going to give you one anyway. What you do is you're going to find the difference. Okay, so when they give you the formula, when they find the difference, you're going to take the amount spent minus the amount budgeted. Okay, so when you have that in particular, it's going to say something like this. Frank and Minnie Zorn have always kept accurate records of their expenditures. At the end of March, they prepared an expense summary. They had planned to spend $340 on groceries, but actually spent $361.85. How much more or less did they spend? So they spent $361.85. They budgeted $340. So when you subtract those two numbers, 361.85 minus 340, you get $21.85. And the subtraction part is not usually the problem. The problem with these is figuring out, did they spend more or less than what they budgeted? Is 361.85 higher than 340 or lower than 340? It's higher, so the 21.85 you spent more than you budgeted. That number was higher than what you thought you were going to spend. That's what it's asking. So the problems are going to ask you, did you spend more or less? On number 1 at the bottom of page 164, it says Zoe and Douglas Hamilton budgeted $167.80 and spent $158.90. So $167.80 and they spent $158.90. So the first thing that I do is subtract those two numbers, 158.9, and I get $8.90. Now, did they spend more or less than what they budgeted? They budgeted this, and they spent this. So is that number lower or higher than what we budgeted? It was less than what we budgeted. So we write less afterwards. Number 2 says Millie Bradley budgeted $647.50, but spent $671.92. So what we're doing here, you guys, is you're going to take the highest number minus the lowest number to get the dollar amount. So as I'm doing that now, I get an answer of $24.42. Now, did that number that I spent, was that higher than what I budgeted or lower? This one was higher, so therefore I put more. Okay, so the formula that I gave you at the beginning was kind of just we're going to put those in and subtract the two numbers, and then basically what you're going to do from there is you're going to say, was it higher or was it lower? Okay, it's higher if you spent more than what you budgeted. Now, when you look at 165, it says for 3 through 10, we're going to use the Penders, who we learned about yesterday, to answer those questions. Then 8 through 10, it was asking about how much more or less did they spend. So on those specific problems, you're using that same chart. Then on 11, it says name some other things that might happen. And then on 12 and 13, you're going to do some writing as far as what you think, and it's your opinion. So as far as how to do the problems, you're going to subtract, but then you have to tell me, was the amount you spent more or less than what you thought? And so on page 164 to 166, we're on 1 to 13. Okay? So with that, have a good day. See you guys later.